Okay, good morning, everybody. Greetings and salutations. It's Larsen Live, and by God, it's October 20th. This will probably be the last day that we do Sunday streams. Why? Because we had to bring our lovely dog to puppy class. She kicked ass, she was the best trained dog at the class, and now the classes are over as of last Saturday. I'm frankly very disappointed that there was not a proper graduation ceremony with little motor boards and such, and pomp and circumstance. But it is what it is. Anyway, we opened up with a medieval bardcore cover of Guns N' Roses' "Sweet Child of Mine," because by God, I'm doing PowerPoints about the Renaissance, and it seemed relevant. Pony Throat basically called it when he said Kakariko Village woodwind cover of "Sweet Child of Mine," referring to the recurring location from the Legend of Zelda franchise, the village that is directly underneath Death Mountain, which seems like a pretty bad place to build a village, but what do I know about architecture? The music for Kakariko Village has always essentially been a medieval woodwind cover of Earth Angel, but that's a whole different issue, as I said. It is Tony Gilbert's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, sir. I don't know why this medieval village has the song of Earth Angel, will you be mine, my darling dear, forever and all time. But hey, I'm not AJ Onuma. He's a millionaire, and I'm not. So I will defer to his judgment. Ponythroat says bard music comes in guide. I think he meant goes, but slamming his hooves onto the keyboard means you can't type very well. In popular culture, does it, sir? I mean, the last time that medieval music was popular in pop culture was probably the 90s. Gregorian chants had a brief vogue for some reason. He says, let's call it the minstrel cycle. Yes. I mean, it would be a lot better than the crap the kids are listening to nowadays. But unfortunately, I can't control it. I mean, if I could, I'd make some more money making panpipes and folk flutes, which I enjoy doing. Tony Gilbert says Death Mountain is a stupid place to build a town. Yes, I would say so. I mean, Death Mountain erupts pretty frequently. The best Zelda song is the guitar one. I believe he means Gerudo Valley, which is a ripping flamenco piece. I mean, I think that's all. I think that's pretty undisputed that Gerudo Valley is the best music to ever come out of that franchise. Robert Diaz says, I sound like William Hung when I sing. Yeah, I'm not a good singer. I've never claimed to be a good singer. I sing so you can laugh at me. But yes, the title of the stream is SGOs Are Testicle Cancer. I'm, of course, referring to my job teaching the young whippersnappers in the public schools. And I do enjoy my job. I do enjoy teaching. I enjoy, bringing the light of civilization to, the dark corners of the earth, so to speak. I like interacting with the kids. Maybe not so much the part where teenage girls undress me with their eyes. I'm not crazy about that part, but I do like the young whippersnappers for the most part, and I like the actual teaching part of the teaching. What I don't like is the bureaucratic horse shit I have to deal with, like SGOs. For those of you not aware, SGOs are student growth objectives, where the kids take pre assessments, for diagnostic reasons at the beginning of the year. They suck at them. Then we're supposed to have some kind of plan as to how we're going to get those grades up. Gee, I don't know. Have them study more? I mean, I don't know if I can make them study more. I don't live in their house. Maybe their parents should make them study. So basically, you just fill out these stupid forms and you hope for the best. But frankly, if you have hope for the children of America today, you are sadly mistaken. Tony Gilbert says, yes, Gerudo Valley. That song slaps to the end of time. Oh, yes, it does, sir. Okay. Ponythroat says, yesterday, I finally found somebody online talking about MP3 CDs, and it made me feel like crumbling into dust and blowing away into the sunset. Yeah, I feel that way a lot when I'm talking to the kids at school, and I try to reference, the video and stuff, to get, to show a connection between history and popular culture. They're not familiar with my video. That makes me feel like a very, very old man. I refuse to play Fortnite. Also, I refuse to stream to TikTok. That is an option on Streamlabs, but I don't want to download Chinese communist spyware, to be quite honest. So, yeah, teaching is a good profession. The bullshit is not a good part of it. And speaking of teaching, while I may be a school teacher, I sure hate the school marms. Uh, yeah, so, as we all know, the presidential election is coming up on November 5th, and the Harris Waltz ticket has had the brilliant idea to have Tim Waltz's wife Gwen give an assignment to you. Now, I believe Tim and Gwen Waltz are both school teachers, and Gwen Waltz, in her brilliance, decided to act like the most bitchy, condescending school marm you could imagine, and basically demand that the young men vote for her husband and Kamala Harris. Yeah, this is going to go over great because if there's one thing that American men love, it's being school marmed to death. I mean, Lord knows we don't deal with that enough. I say this as a teacher. Like, even I have this knee jerk, violent reaction to some snotty hag lecturing me about what I should be doing. It's a gut reaction. I said this in an article on my website long ago. America's heroes fought the school marm. From Huckleberry Finn to Groucho Marx to Bugs Bunny to Bart Simpson. The true American man, balks at the authority of the school marm and, actively fights against it. Let's check out some comments here. Ponythroat says, does Larsen know what MP3 CDs are? The format used only by pirates. Yes, I'm well aware of what MP3 CDs are. I burned many MP3 CDs in my youth. Robert Diaz says, I've always said that teaching kids is 50-50 the parents and the teachers. A bad teacher negates a good parent, and a bad parent negates a good teacher. Yes, I agree. I mean, look, I convey the truth to my students. I try to teach it in bite-sized, digestible chunks, and I grade fairly. That's all I can do. The parents got to make their kids study. And if they don't study, well, there's not much I can do. Tony Gilbert says, El Barto. Yes. I mean, I don't know if Bart even rebels against the school marm anymore. Well, I mean, I know that Mrs. Krabappel is dead because Marsha Wallace is dead. I don't know. Does Bart have a new teacher? I really don't know. I haven't watched The Simpsons in many, many years. I know people say it's good now, but I refuse to believe that. Yeah, anyway, boy, I don't even have the sound on listening to Gwen Waltz, and it's just bitchy school marming is I'm just cringing at it. Some lady, I believe in the Atlantic, said, I am a proud school marm. You should not be a proud school marm. You can be a school teacher, but being a school teacher is not a school marm. A school marm is not an effective school teacher. A school marm is a bitchy, often childless lady who takes her anger out on the young whippersnappers. I mean, I've always said America has always been a tug of war, a push-pull between the cool guys and, like, the assortment of bitchy schoolmarm Puritans and slave traders who are the bad side of this country. And right now, the bad guys are winning. Yeah, the Harris Waltz campaign is not doing good with the dudes. I also put out some ad where it's like, I'm a real man and I vote for Harris, and they got a bunch of like gay theater kids to play men, and it didn't go well. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but boy, like, kind of, there's a certain look of, like, a woman. She just has this kind of, like, tired eye, this, like, kind of mean, hatchet face, and you just know that woman's going to just schoolmarm you to death. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. Tony Gilbert says The Simpsons has sucked since Disney bought it. Well, I mean, we know that. But I hear people claiming that it's good now. I mean, I haven't watched. I don't plan on watching. Ponythroat says Bart is going on 50. S no longer cares about getting expelled. Well, let's see. Okay, 1989 is when The Simpsons debuted. Which means he was born 1979. Yeah, he's 45 years old. For the love of God, why can't The Simpsons just end? Tony Gilbert says, "Ha, what do they expect? Maroons." Yes, doesn't look too good for the Harris Waltz campaign. Not gonna lie. And unlike 2016, I think Trump's gonna clean house this time. Not because Trump's particularly great, because he's not, but just the like bitchy schoolmarm brigade isn't gonna win over voters. C-Punk Messiah says, "I'm torn. I'm not a fan of Harris, but I sure as hell not voting for Trump because Trump fanboys are cringe fagaloons too." Yes, they are. And I mean, I vote third party just as a matter of principle. Biff Slankovich, a fellow teacher, says SGOs suck. Actually, if I recall correctly, Biff was a teacher, but he's retired. Yes, SGOs are hot garbage. Shinseki Evans says Bart now has a stunning and brave black lady as his teacher that always bests him. Well, that's just super. I don't know. I know nothing about The Simpsons beyond like season 13 or so, and I have no interest in learning otherwise. In related news, BreadTube streamer Hassan is sounding the alarm that the right wing has a total dominance over the young male demo, not just in the United States, all around the world. And we have discussed this previously. In England, Germany, South Korea, there is a massive divide between the young men, and the young ladies. Young men are veering increasingly conservative, and young ladies are veering increasingly to the left. They don't understand why this is. Why are the young men going so rightward? Yeah, it's a mystery. I mean, could it possibly be that the left explicitly demonizes young men and masculinity? White men specifically, and men in general. It's the schoolmarm problem. Everywhere you go, there's some nagging yenta wagging her finger at you, lecturing you about how evil and stupid you are. Yeah, I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why the men are not interested in left-wing politics. Hey, speaking of Disney, it's like with the Acolyte show. We don't need white men watching our show. Then after the show flops, why don't the white men watch? Yeah. It is a mystery. Now, this is Hassan. I don't know. This is the other Hassan, the nuggy socialist. I think it is. Uh, I know. I hear very little about this guy when he's not shoveling nuggies into his parents' mansion. I'm sorry. He's sitting in his. I'm sorry. I'm misspeaking here. He sits in his parents' mansion, microwaving nuggies for himself, like the cretinous man-child that he is. And this guy's going to lecture us about, regaining the masculine vote. I don't think that's going to happen, sir. Okay. Ponythroat says Harris seems even less capable of holding a debate than Hillary. Tony Gilbert says Disco Stew jumped in front of you. Uh, I don't know what that means, but I just think it's hilarious that when Disco Stew uh, came into The Simpsons, that was during the episode with George Bush Sr. That would have been what, like 1998? Yeah, so Disco was only dead for, 18 years at that point. So it kind of made sense that this like middle-aged man would still be clinging to Disco. But now it's literally been like 45 years since Disco died, and they're still doing Disco Stew. Like the joke doesn't really work anymore. Dave Slankovich says in Massachusetts they want to do away with a test to graduate. Vote no. Well, this is modern America and we can't have standards. Standards are racist according to the shitty people who run the schools. Tony Gilbert agrees. Massachusetts is going crazy. They sure are. Robert Diaz says when the left keeps telling men that they're the reason for everything wrong in the world, that will make men go to the right. You'd think that would be obvious, but apparently it's not. Tony Gilbert says Disco Stew is one of my favorites. I don't care that he's corny. Yeah, I mean he's definitely one of the better like incidental characters in The Simpsons. You know, my heart will always be for Hans Moleman. Yes, I am in fact gay for Moleman, despite his lament that nobody is. But yeah, a major problem with the show is that The Simpsons has basically outgrown its cultural oeuvre that it started out in. It created a new one. And it's never really adapted to that. Like in the early days, they referenced a lot of like 50s and 60s shows, and those really don't exist anymore. Just the show is so fundamentally like an early '90s thing. It can't really adapt to the modern age all that well. Okay, moving on from the left's masculinity problem. Sometimes they have a point about toxic masculinity, I say, which is to say, sometimes masculinity can be done the wrong way. Like in this video that went a bit viral. Uh, some dipshit Baltimore Ravens fan, Dudebro, was running around the street looking for random Washington Commanders fans. He just runs up on a guy and just punches him out. He's just running up and down the street looking for randos to beat up. He beats up two guys who are much smaller than him, and he runs around going, "Yeah, man, I don't lose, brat, brat." Uh, sometimes I realize that like, white frat dude bros kind of deserve it, all the hate they get sometimes. Like this asshole. Yeah, man, you're really badass beating up smaller men over some sports team that doesn't give a shit whether you live or die, idiot. You know what would be great? If you could take that energy and that, masculine gameness and combativeness and like direct it towards something good. Like, I don't know, cleaning up the streets from the, screaming feral derelicts and brappies who are running it. Maybe you could like protest the government or the police for vast, overstretching of power. But no, go beat up fans of another football team. Panem et Circenses, you fucking plebeian. I hope this guy gets arrested. Real good. And look, I don't mind watching the occasional game, but if you take sports this seriously, you, sir, are a spiritual cuckold. And I will tell you that to your face. Like the hooliganism thing is stupid, whether it be American football, association football. Yeah, don't, riot and fight to take back your country from the shitheels who run it. Yeah, just burn the city down over a game, you moron. Yeah, you're so badass, like, with another man's name on your back. Apparently this guy's some kind of lawyer during the week. but he becomes a jackass during the weekend. People did find his Indeed page or his LinkedIn page. Yeah, it's John Callis on Instagram. Somehow he has 10,500 followers. He has a shirtless picture in his profile. He very much looks like a, ex-jock who's, got a beer gut in his middle-aged dotage. He's a producer and sales executive in the Castendike Insurance Group. This guy's an asshole, and he should be treated as such. So let's look at some comments here. Tony Gilbert says, "Poor mole man, the dude's life sucks." Yeah, it sure does. Ponythroat says, "The only character whose running joke improved over the years was Mr. Burns." Well, yeah, and that his joke is that he just gets older and older and like more physically feeble. I guess that works. C-Punk Messiah says, "I heard a good point that the reason young men worship right-wing grifters is because the left offers no good alternatives." Yes, exactly. I mean, you tell them that, you're evil, you're racist, you're born to be evil, there's no, way to redeem yourself. Yeah, it's a wonder why they turn away from the left. Then they go to these shithead grifters, masculinity grifters who, give the bad solution, but at least they're giving a solution. I mean, a lot of the problem is just like the kids, they don't have dads. Like dads need to just tell these kids these basic things. That's why I always joke about how on the stream I'm like the internet dad. Yeah, I give you the dadly advice that you didn't get in your childhood. Tony Gilbert says, "Oh no, not Maryland. See, Baltimore's not really part of Maryland. It's its own thing." For your information, the Baltimore police are still under FBI investigation for the past 10 years. Okay, I'm going to go back to Timothy Adams. What Ponythroat says, "Not sure if this is new news. The Zelda movie was confirmed." Yeah, this is very old news, Ponythroat. You're way ahead of the curve here. Live action, producer Morbius, writer of Batman vs. Superman and Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I'm not particularly, I'm cautiously optimistic because, there is tremendous potential there. I feel like it could be as good as Lord of the Rings in a trilogy if you did it right. And not to toot my own horn, but I know exactly how it could be done right. I just don't think they're going to do it right. And what I'm the most afraid of is that there's going to make some slapdick fantasy nonsense nobody will remember in 5 minutes. Well, actually, that's the thing I'm the second most afraid of. The thing I'm most afraid of is that they're going to do some slapdick fantasy nonsense, but also make Lincoln a feminine homosexual who takes it on the corn shoot. But you already know that. I've gone over this many times. Ponythroat says, "Yeah, I've had my hoof on the pulse of current events." You sure do, sir. Timothy Adams says, "Fighting over a group of mercenary outsiders hired for public entertainment is sensible, right?" It sure is. Yeah, I mean, the Byzantine Empire almost got overthrown by chariot hooligans, so, people are stupid about sports for a very long time. Timothy Adams says, "The left of the past was Abby Hoffman, Wavy Gravy, and Hunter S. Thompson. The left today is Rosie O'Donnell." I mean, considering what the actual left is nowadays, I'd take Rosie O'Donnell over a lot of the dickheads they have nowadays. Tony Gilbert says, "A Metroid movie would be awesome." Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think any Nintendo movies should be animated. Yeah, I think that would be really slick if they did it right. You could have like a solid PG-13 animated Legend of Zelda movie, done seriously, and with drama and pathos. And I think it could be really good if you did it right. I just don't think they're going to. And speak with regards to John Callis, the football douchebag. I get a bit angry when I see people trying to claim that Zelda is like queer coded, but I don't go around punching people in the face over it. I may want to, but I don't. I said this before and I'll say it again. If they do a trilogy of Legend of Zelda movies, the last movie should end with Link dying heroically in the field and becoming the hero Shade. But I don't think they're going to have the balls to pull that off. So yeah, in conclusion, don't take sports that seriously. Yeah, we have a very sort of urban crime centric stream today. Just looking at all the things that I kind of saved. Okay, so in city crappiness news, or should I say shitty news, a Ray Delahanty, who is a nerd for cities, one of these, 15-minute city, walkable urban streets nerds, he says, I feel like there's an alarming number of urbanists who would gladly vote for fascism if it meant 10% less trash on the street. I hate urbanists whose number one issue is that cities don't resemble suburban lifestyle centers quite enough. You hear that, kids? If you oppose human feces and garbage on the street, you're a fascist. It's progressive to step on sidewalk poo. It's progressive to have, screaming crackheads give birth on the street. The ironic thing is that if a government literally cleaned up, 5 or 10% of garbage on the street, that would literally be one of the most major improvements any government in the United States has done in the past, couple of decades at least. I will never understand this. I mean, I do have some left-leaning tendencies about about like labor and fair wages and things, but I will never be so far to the left that I'm like, it's good to poop on the street. It's good to have screaming derelicts waving knives at people. It's good to wade through 3 feet of garbage on the street. I don't approve of that, and we don't have to live this way. I don't care what anybody says. Okay, C-Punk Messiah says, imagine a Zelda or Metroid live action from 1993. Like Zelda starring Macaulay Culkin. Oh, God. They, they probably would have done that in 1993. Oy. Yeah, that wouldn't have been great. I mean, on the plus side, if it was the early 90s, maybe you could have had Adult Link and, like, I don't know, Patrick Swayze or somebody could have played him, and that wouldn't have been that bad. Maybe Tom Cruise or something. Ponythroat says, it's not queer, it's a tunic, not a dress. That is literally one of the arguments they make. It's like, he wears a skirt, he's gay. It's a tunic, shithead. It's literally what every medieval man would have worn. He totally pounded Zelda in Wand of Gamelon. I mean, I would argue that he also canonically, gets down with women in, canonical games, but that's neither here nor there. Ponythroat says, depends on what exactly he meant by trash. How often it asked me for money. Tony Gilbert says, that's crazy. Wanting a clean city, all of a sudden you're crazy. What the hell? I know. Who would want, clean streets and, like, not having screaming derelicts, like, throwing feces at them? And yes, I have had screaming derelicts throw undisclosed fluids at me. Ponythroat says, Vidya lied to me. Just because a city is covered in filth and criminals doesn't mean I can find whole chickens in the trash cans. Yeah, I know. The brawlers lied to us all. Robert Diaz says, can we get Rosie O'Donnell to play the pig form of Ganon? What is with your picking on Rosie O'Donnell, sir? I mean, there's more odious leftists you can deal with, certainly. But yeah, in conclusion, just because you want clean streets, that does not make you a fascist. You're just a sensible human being. But yes, American cities are going down the shitter. The FBI published some data saying that crime went down, but then they quietly said, "Nope, nope, we lied. They're going up. It actually went up 4.5% violent crime." Oh, I guess when you legalize crime, uh, I guess crime goes up. Who would have thought? I mean, remember in the webcomic 8-Bit Theater, there was a joke they made once about the decriminalization of criminal offenses. Well, it's not a joke anymore. Shinseki Evans says her daughter just got arrested for being a feral derelict. I did not hear that. That is not good. On a related note to crime going up, so reports Barstool Sports. 7-Elevens are closing all over Chicago, and nobody knows why. Yeah, nobody knows why. It's a mystery. It's just a mystery why the convenience stores have to, close down. Who knows? I mean, one can scarcely understand why the convenience stores are going down, and why CVS has to lock up everything. It's the world may never know why 7-Elevens have to close down. It is a mystery. And speaking of the idiotic crime beat, there was an unfortunate incident where a lady, a Sydney Watson, I believe her name was, came out of her apartment door swinging a knife at a cop. The cop tried to get her to stop repeatedly, and he ended up shooting her. People are claiming that this is racism and abuse. The cop had a gun and she didn't. She was having a psychotic episode. She doesn't deserve to be murdered. Well, no, somebody having a psychotic episode does not deserve to be murdered, but, you know, somebody swinging a knife at a cop should probably end up getting ventilated. I mean, the man was stabbed pretty deeply. Just saying. Now, granted, I don't think it's tasteful to, make memes where you put, like, doom sound effects over the shooting, but, that's the opposite end of the spectrum. A lot of these people literally think that, like, if a person of color swings a knife at you, you have a duty to let them stab you. I don't agree, actually. And I should say that the guy tried to get her to put the knife down on multiple occasions. But, I don't know, there's a lot of people who just suffer the consequences of their actions and beliefs, and I think that's a big problem. It's like, well, a gun is more deadly than a knife. It's higher up on the scale of deadliness, and therefore you have a duty to not use it. Okay. Seapunk Messiah says, "Do I think legalizing mutually agreed upon doing would be a benefit? Allow to people settle their beef via fists. Well, I don't think they should use weapons, but yes, I think people should be allowed to fight it out with fists, assuming that there's witnesses and things. Like, I know there's a couple of states that have mutual combat laws. I agree with that. But yeah, fists only, no dueling. Pony Throat and Robert Diaz addressed the Sydney Watson incident. She cut the cop with a knife. She charged him. Yes, she did. I've seen that screenshot. Very iconic. Put the Doom guy's head at the bottom. Oh, they're already memeing it as, like, Doom, putting all the sound effects, E1, M1, the gun sound effects, the demon, like, grunts and groans. Hey, remember when they thought that, like, showing body cams would show like nothing but racist and abusive police actions, and it actually showed that like most of the actions were justified. Yeah, boy, that was a wacky thing. I'm sure that they'll blame white supremacy that this Chinese cop got stabbed or cut, whatever. Asians are white adjacent. Citation needed. Okay, let's see what else we got going on here. We'll come back to silliness pertaining to my people in a second. But for now, we're going to kind of keep up the serious news for a bit. And then we'll go to the silly side of things. First of all, remember how I just mentioned that some people don't learn the consequences of their actions? Well, it turns out some people do. Anna Kasparian, the producer of the Young Turks, has said that she left the Democratic Party. Why? Because she got sexually harassed by a homeless man with a giant erection in Los Angeles. She tried to report this to the police. She was then shamed by her fellow leftists for saying that she felt fearful to leave her house after the incident. Basically, what happened was she was out with her dog. She was picking up the poo. Some homeless guy with a boner came up behind her and started like dry humping her. She shared her story. Liberals accused her of painting a wrongful picture of the homeless community. Some people screamed at her that she was a racist, even though she did not say that the man was, non-white. That woke me up. People I've associated myself with because I thought they were the good people, they have stereotypes in their head, and they're totally blind to the fact that they have those stereotypes, and they go around accusing others of being bad actors. So, you see, some shitlib can, in fact, change her beliefs. All she has to do is just suffer the immediate consequences of her beliefs and actions. And then and only then can they learn a little bit. Boy, the shitlibs really go to bat for screaming derelicts. I don't know why. I mean, we all remember a couple of cases in Brooklyn, like that guy who got stabbed by one of his, homeless noble savages at 4 in the morning, and then basically his girlfriend could barely restrain herself from like hooking up with the guy. Oh, that was good stuff. Then there was another homeless brappy who was like standing on street corners waving knives at people in Brooklyn. Everybody hemmed and hawed about, what can we do? We don't want to hurt him, but we have to get him out of here. And meanwhile, I'm thinking that this was 1920s Brooklyn. This guy would have lasted about 1 day before, Rocco and Moose took a baseball bat to him. I don't know when Brooklyn became totally pussified, but I guess it is. Funny thought says 13% of body cams record 50% of the raving derelicts being plugged. Yeah, it's fascinating how that happens. Pointing Throat then says, I thought the cop was white because I saw only his arm. I'm pretty sure Peter Liu is not white. Shinseki Evans says, bums graped the shit lib out of Anna. Yep, they sure did. I mean, it's unfortunate that it had to go to that extreme to, like, change your mind. But, it's better safe than, better now than later. Better now than never. Better late than never. And at least she learned, unlike that Norwegian guy who got sexually assaulted by a, quote unquote immigrant, and then the guy got deported and he felt bad for him. Why can't you rape me again, Daddy? Dare I say, if I were sexually assaulted by somebody, I would not forgive them. These are, I mean, just no sense of self-preservation whatsoever. I don't understand this concept. Okay, meanwhile, I've been talking a lot about stupid crime, but there is a slight ray of hope. Going to San Francisco, the ground zero of human feces, and screaming derelicts, a federal judge has ruled that a lawsuit can proceed. What is the lawsuit? It is a class action suit accusing the government of San Francisco of enabling crime and drug use. A complaint filed by a group of residents and businesses alleged that lawmakers created lawless living conditions by enabling drug addicts and dealers to come to the area by providing housing, free drug paraphernalia, and street based support. They allow drug use and sales in their city shelters, and people claim that this is instigating and encouraging drug use. The plaintiffs say that you created an unlivable, crime ridden society. You think? The municipal government argued that its policies could not be linked to the city's conditions, but U.S. District Judge John Tygar shot him down, and the lawsuit is going to court. Thank God. I mean, San Francisco is a beautiful city, or it was. I mean, it still could be. Just got to power wash off, tons of human waste. If this succeeds, it could lay the framework for other progressive cities struggling with the same issues. Please, for the love of God, yes, do this. Do it to Portland, Seattle, all the, crappy places, Los Angeles. It has to be done now. People are taking it directly to City Hall, and by God, I like this. I hate to say it, but the Taliban has a better drug resistance policy than we do, which is to say, basically you force them to go cold turkey, and then you give them job training so they can learn a useful skill to be productive to society. I'm starting to come around to our Tala friends. Ponythroat says, whoever thought that giving away free crack pipes for Black History Month might have encouraged drug use. Yeah, shocking, I know. I know there's a lot of people who just are against the concept of, having clean streets and safe streets, but maybe we'll take the streets back. I know legally I can't go around just battering brappies, but I really want to. Good Lord, I want to. I don't know. I will never understand why people just become hardcore libertarians when they have to defend brappies, right to have a shopping bag of cans and drug paraphernalia, and only the shopping cart of cans and drug paraphernalia. You can't touch people's things. You gotta move their things, but you can't touch their things. I suppose the right of, productive members of society to have clean streets is not an issue, apparently. Okay, what else do we have going on now? I guess we're going to go to the silly side of things now. Let's do it with a little tech news first. Another ray of hope from the usual shit heap that is our government. The Federal Trade Commission has announced the click-to-cancel rule. It requires a company, by law, to make the canceling procedure for a product just as easy as the registration procedure. It will be illegal to have long, difficult cancellation processes. If you signed up with a click, you must be required to let you cancel with a click. Bravo. I like this. Planet Fitness executives are headbutting walls right now, but, I think it's okay. On occasion, the government does good things. This is one of those occasions. Also, apparently, Planet Fitness has stock that is $80 per share. I don't know why, considering Planet Fitness is an absolute shit heap. That's the butt of every joke in the fitness industry. Ponythroat says the Taliban be posting all the W's lately. I mean, I'm honest, like, I think their drug policy is much more humane than ours. You force them to get off the drugs, you train them to be productive members of society, and that's that. I mean, ever since the 60s, America has not been allowed to have standards and bare minimums, and suffered for it. Pontiff says, to be fair, only a boomer would be stopped by complex cancellation processes. Learn to operate a web page, Melvin. Well, I mean, there's a lot of stupid people who get conned into these sorts of things, so I think it's good for them. While I do hate the rappies, you know, there's a fine line between brappies and just stupid people. Stupid people deserve to be protected by society as long as they mind their business. And I think the click to cancel rule is pretty good. Okay, now we get to the silly side of things. First of all, from San Francisco, and I quote, I am totally blown away. A beachside Pacifica Taco Bell wedding reception is what dreams are made of. Apparently, there's a wedding at a Taco Bell on the beachside. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna say it. If your wedding is catered by Taco Bell, you've made a terrible decision. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. Yep, it's like the ending of The Graduate, where they get on the bus and they slowly realize that they've made a terrible, terrible decision. That's the exact face that I assume the bride had as she walked out of her Taco Bell wedding. It's what dreams are made out of. I don't know what the hell kind of dreams you're having. My dreams don't involve Taco Bell. Occasionally, my dreams involve me yelling about random yellow garbage bags, according to my wife, but I'm pretty sure those garbage bags will not have Taco Bell in them because I have standards, goddammit. Okay, speaking of food, everyone's favorite whiny Asian shit ass, Simu Liu, had a bit of a thing go viral this week in which he was on like Dragon's Den or Shark Tank or one of those investor shows, and he went off on some white people who wanted to franchise boba tea. He was referring to, my cultural traditions, etc., etc., etc. You're appropriating. Yes, the rich and deep heritage of boba tea, which was invented in 1980s Taiwan. Jackass. Does Simu Liu ever do anything besides embarrass himself in public? Oh no, like my boba tea, like there's just something like second gen immigrant kids are really into. Like they like defend the stupidest, most trite aspects of their home culture out of some sense of alienation. Come on, man, if you're gonna really defend your Chinese culture, you should be pouring over like spring and autumn annals and like ancient history books, like me. Damn it. Also, didn't you like appropriate Korean people in the show that made you famous, sir? Also, remember when Simu Liu was caught posting like borderline Andrew Tate misogynistic crap on Reddit? I remember that. Shinseki Evan asks, isn't Simu from Red China anyways? I don't know, nor do I care. Ponthos says that's not the wedding bells most people had in mind. Yes, clearly, the wedding Taco Bell was not what most girls dream of. Explosive honeymoon diarrhea intensifies. Well, that goes without saying. Although, a fun fact, if you must eat Taco Bell, you should actually try to eat the veggie burrito. That is the most gentle on your stomach, I find. Yeah, it's the one good thing I learned from my abusive turbo bitch of an ex fiance. she was a vegetarian, and she talked me into eating the veggie burritos, and it actually settled my stomach pretty good. Thought says Simu is from China. Yes, Shinseki Evan confirmed. I wonder if Simu's still pissed off that Shang-Chi flopped. I mean, I heard it sucked. And yeah, I know that, like, I talk about this a lot. Like, a lot of, Asian American or Asian Canadian dudes like him have massive chips on their shoulders. But maybe make your chip not quite as visible, Simu. I mean, I've worked through my chip. Why don't you, sir? And finally, uh, everybody's really stupid Twitter, left rightist gay boy, the Hellenist, was doing his usual thing again. And I quote, he said, "Black people should support slavery. Christians and Jews tore us apart. We used to protect you, feed you, give you honest work, but they forced us to abandon you out into the cold, treat you as not friends but enemies. Come home, slaves. We have work to do." Community notes, what the fuck are you talking about, sir? Somebody asks him, the neo-Hellenist movement is pro-slavery? He says, yes, slavery is virtuous, referring to Aristotle's arguments that some people are natural slaves. And, yes, I would argue that some people are basically born peasants, but shouldn't be racial-based. It should be individual-based. I mean, I guess it's not entirely inaccurate considering that the Hellenist, despite LARPing as a, lantern-jawed Greek man, is actually a Afro-Colombian. And Latin America took way more slaves than North America. Of course, we all know what this is actually about. The Hellenist is very, very, very obviously gay. He desperately tries to hide it, but we all know he desperately wants to buck break, which is why he wants slaves personally. Personally, I, don't have it in me to be a slave owner ever, so I would never do such a thing. Pony Throat makes the obvious joke. If Latin people are to be called Latinx, can we start calling Asian people Chinex? Well, yeah, obviously that goes without saying. I don't know. How many followers does the Hellenist have? Aristocratic Hellenism, virtue, beauty, conquest. He has none of those things. He has 24,000 followers. I don't know why. He is very obviously a closeted homosexual and tries to kind of transmute that into weird, Greco-Roman LARPing. Just be openly gay, sir. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing that's wrong with it is hiding it. Okay, so that does it for my prepared remarks. You can say your last pieces if you want. I mean, or you could just talk more about the, possible Nintendo movies that could be made. I think a Metroid movie could be good if, you did it like Alien or Predator or Life Force or the movies that inspired it. I remember that one Twitter post where it was like, Amy Poehler as Samus flipping around to rock you like a hurricane. I don't want that. Yeah, I don't want modern, pop music in any Zelda or Metroid movie. And by God, if I see like it's stupid shit, like holding out for a hero in the Zelda movie trailer, I'm not watching it. I'll tell you that right now. Ponythroat says the Star Fox movie will be ruined by internet degenerates. Well, that goes without saying. I mean, the Zelda movie is going to be ruined by internet degenerates. Ponythroat says Tariq Nasheed's sex dungeon is plantation house themed, and this guy's is Greek bathhouse themed. Yes. I think the Hellenist and Tariq Nasheed just get together and have a little buck breaking session. That might make them both feel better. Seapunk Messiah said Korea had a shitload of slaves. Bobby Lee found that out in an embarrassing way. Yes, I believe at one point, like, a very high percentage of Korea's population was slaves. Now, granted, it was, Korean people, but still. And they only abolished slavery in, like, 1910. Seapunk Messiah says, go look up Tyr. It's a prog metal band from the Faroe Islands. I shall, sir. Viking prog metal. Yes, good stuff. Yeah, so that does it for my prepared remarks. You can say your last pieces now if you should desire. Ponythroat says they can't have a buck breaking session. They need somebody else to do the breaking. Unless one of them does the whole, white makeup. Well, I believe Hellenist, at least, I think he tops Hellenist. So I think he'll just kind of put on some, like, white paint and do the breaking. Yeah, I'll give you a minute or so to say your last pieces. Okay, I don't think anyone's got anything else to say. So for Larsen Halleck, this has been Larsen Halleck. All of you have a good day.